Welcome to the Voices of Young People podcast, brought to you by Springtide Research Institute. In each episode, we hear directly from young people as they respond to our research and share about the issues impacting their lives. As sociologists and researchers, we see a new story unfolding for young people, one that moves beyond traditional institutional boundaries and requires careful attention to the inner and outer lives of emerging generations. At the intersection of being and becoming, it's the Voices of Young People.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode in Season 8 of the Voices of Young People podcast. I'm your host, Marte Aboagye. I'm the head of community engagement at Springtide Research Institute, and we're listening to young people all throughout the country throughout this season share about their sacred moment, their sacred experience, whatever story they want to bring to life. It's really important because we have a brand new report we just released called The State of Religion and Young People 2023, Exploring the Sacred. And so we want these stories to bring our data findings further to life. And so we've been relying on a lot of our Springtide ambassadors from our 2023 SAP, that's the shorthand, SAP for the Springtide Ambassadors Program. We've been relying on those SAP members to share some of their experiences when it comes to the sacred. We want to understand more about what's the context, what's the place, what's the vibe, what's the feeling that goes along with what Gen Zers would define as sacred. So we have two wonderful Springtide ambassadors with us today. I'm going to have the first, Tábatha, introduce herself, and then we'll hear from Grace after that.
Hi, my name is Tábatha. I'm 20 years old. I'm from Texas. I'm here in Texas. I love dark chocolate. That's a fun fact about me. I love music, but I cannot sing, even though I would love to. I am a Christian, so I believe in Jesus. I think that's a good introduction.
Thank you, Tábatha. I love dark chocolate along with you. And I'm a big music fan as well, but I don't like singing in public. Is that your thing, that you don't like having like a solo in front of people? You're not going to
I don't like when people I can sing by myself. I just don't like when people hear me singing. And I even tell my friends, like, if I could sing for real, I wouldn't talk. I would just sing. That would be all that I would do, just sing.
You'd be a musical. You'd be a walking musical come to life, going about your day. That's so fun. Okay, let's hear more about Grace.
Hi guys, I'm Grace and I am 23 and I work at a Christian church here in Kansas City. And my fun fact is that I didn't learn how football worked or the game of football until around 2020 when Patrick Mahomes was taking the Chiefs to victory. And so I am a large Chiefs fan now and am really excited for the fall season.
Nice. Yes. KC, you guys have had some good runs with football lately. So do you go to the games in person? Do you mainly watch from home? What's your deal?
Mainly watch from home with some family. I feel like it's been a big tradition since COVID, spending that time with family and just enjoying some food and sitting on the couch. So that's kind of how I watch the games.
Nice. Yes, COVID brought a lot of us more around people that maybe we wouldn't have been always hanging out with just because we didn't have as many physical places to go. So, all right, I'll think of you when football season starts up again. We're recording these podcast episodes over the summer, so we aren't quite in football season yet. But as they release, we'll see how Casey is doing this year. Well, let's get into the conversation. I want to hear, first off, from both of you, just when you hear the word sacred or sacred experiences, what are the first words that come to mind for you?
Yeah, so for myself, I think when I think about sacred spaces or places or even people, I think about the times that I have had encounters with God. And so whether that's a physical location or just a moment of time I think that it really has to do with that connection to how I'm experiencing God in that moment. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
that's so good because, like, when I think of it, the first words that come to my mind are peace and white, just because I think that it's sacred, so it's pure. And so when you talk about God, I think also the peace that you experience when you're having, like, you're in the presence of God, and you can just feel at peace. Yeah, just peace, white, kind of.
Thanks. Thank you both. I think that sets us up to keep digging in more. What kinds of things are sacred to you? I'm just curious what sort of people or places or things, etc., that you would identify as sacred.
So for me, the first, because I am not really attached to places, to locations. So there's like not a place that I can think, oh, that's sacred for me specifically. But I would say, and yeah, for me, I would say my Bible, just because whenever I have it, for example, I don't like putting anything on top of my Bible. I just think that I am not supposed to do that. It's just one thing because I believe it's sacred. So, for example, if I have it in my car, I would never put my backpack on top of my Bible. I always put my Bible on top of the backpack, kind of like the sacred thing on top, you know?
Oh, that's
So
interesting.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, for me, it's just like, okay, if I set it apart, that means that it's sacred for me because it's set apart. And well, yeah, look, sometimes whenever I'm just walking and listening to music, it doesn't matter where I'm going, but I'm just like having a moment. I think that's also like a place that I can say it's sacred for me, like regardless of what I am, just the moment of being engaged truly in what I'm doing and what I'm thinking.
Oh, so yeah, there's something about certain objects, like you specifically named the Bible, that you're like, I want to show a certain respect. Is that fair to say
Yeah,
for it?
yeah, yeah, I think that's the word. Yeah.
Like you said, you don't want to place, anything on top of it. And even though you didn't say, there's a certain place that's sacred for you, there's still sacred experiences that come when you're moving, when you're listening to music.
Yeah.
So those aren't dependent on the location, it sounds like, for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's more about the environment or the
Yeah, I think
elements.
it's
The
or like
elements.
the engagement that I have in the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
The engagement. Yeah, that makes sense. What would you say, Grace?
Yeah. So I think a lot about how I am a creature of habit. And so I have rhythms every day that kind of structure throughout my day. And so I think throughout my structure or like the rhythms of faith that I have of waking up and reading my Bible or even just like driving to work and listening to music in the car. I think that there's a lot of like very simple places like that I have had spirit like sacred experiences, and maybe it's not necessarily every single day.
Sure.
But I think another space that I thought of was Christian conferences. And so being able to gather with a lot of people to talk about faith, to worship together. And I think that those are kind of the like sacred spaces I see every like more often than what I might be talking about in a little bit. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So there's something about ritual or rhythm
Yeah.
that can invite in a sacred moment with different things that you try to weave into your daily life, it sounds like, as well as community, faith community being a place that can often hold sacred experiences. And it sounds like you feel some agreement there, Tábatha.
Yeah. It's just like so cool because I do the same. Like I do like habits in my routine. So I also wake up and read my Bible and then I listen to music when I'm going to work. Maybe we even listen to the same songs and we don't know.
Yeah, we never know what sort of similarities sometimes will come about in these podcast episodes as we bring in two different people, but it's always fun to hear when different commonalities are discovered in the conversation. Well, you've both, touched on a little bit of identity pieces in terms of both identifying as Christian. So I'm curious what sort of identities, and those could be faith identities, those could be ethnicity, where you live in the country, any sort of identity, identities, beliefs, practices, elements like that have shaped your view of what's sacred in your life. Just what has influenced your idea of what's sacred?
Yeah, I can jump in here. So I think something that has really influenced my identity and how I've seen sacred spaces, or part of my identity that has, is just my Christian faith. The understanding of who God is and that He has created me in His image has really helped me to see the ways that He is holy, and so I am holy, and just that kind of what I was just talking about the way that God has created everything with order. And so I think me in my own life, like, I am an ordered, a rhythmic human. And so just like the sun rises every morning, like I rise too, and have those different things throughout the day that I get to see the sacred in the ordinary days of life. And so, I think that that's kind of just how I experience faith and experience things that are very sacred. Yeah.
Do you feel like the time of year, or like you get, an experience of seasons living in Kansas City? Do you feel like that even influence when you talk about ordinary time and feeling like the sun's rising, you're rising? Like, is there something even just in
especially in the seasons?
Yeah,
especially in the seasons, and to see like the falls or the leaves change colors in the fall. And just knowing that God has something in store for every season, and maybe the seasons and how I want to, or how I'm seeing God move, doesn't necessarily always line up exactly with what's happening outside. But I know that there is seasons of harvest and seasons of drought in my life. And so I think that it's really cool to see that we can use other imagery even to express ideas in our own faith life and how we're experiencing sacred moments.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's so good. And I also, like, when it comes to the seasons, I actually think about that a lot, because I'm like, okay, like in this, let's say, time of the year, or like this situation is going on with my friends, family, work, whatever, that it might be not the season just for me to feel like everything is going on perfectly, but also because I believe in God and I know He has a plan, I can find I can find rest and assurance in everything is gonna work out for the good. So I think that's also something that really shaped my worldview and what I things that I view as sacred. Just the belief, let's say, the belief that I know that there are seasons. So maybe I'm going through something really, really good right now. Let's be grateful and appreciate it. And then if I'm going through something that is not so good, let's also just be grateful that I have had experiences before that can be yeah, life is good. And then know that I'm going to go through that. And I think that's really good.
Thank you both. Well, this is where I'd love to hear you bring a story to life of a particular sacred experience that has, been particularly impactful for you. So, Grace, let's have you go first.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was thinking through this, the first place that came to mind was Honey Rock Camp in the North Woods of Wisconsin. And so I had the privilege to work there for 2 summers when I was in college.
Oh.
And I've been able to go back a few times since working there. And so I'll set the scene a little bit. I started my freshman year at Wheaton College, and knew that Honey Rock Camp was an affiliated ministry that they had for summer camps. And so I applied my freshman year thinking that I was in a season that I knew that I didn't want to come back to Kansas City and was really hoping to just fall deeper in love with Jesus. And so I had faith and like have grown up in the church, but I really just wanted to spend that time like in prayer and worship and service, and really trying to explore like what does it mean to fall in love with Jesus in that time. And so one of the cool things about Honey Rock is that they call it a place apart. And so it's 15 minutes into the woods from either like little town on each side. You're placed on this like beautiful lake and so many different ways to just engage with creation up there. And so you just really are encouraged to disconnect from your phone, disconnect from what other people might be doing that summer, and just connect with the people that you're there with. So I just loved getting the opportunity to really connect with the other girls that I was working with and even the students or the campers that I was serving that summer. And so that summer, I really got to see God at work in worship and in activities and in creation. I was able to see the ways that he was working in my own life to fill me with humility and grace and wisdom. And I can just look back to that place and know that that's a place of joy and peace, even though circumstantially there's definitely things going on that I was wrestling with in those seasons. And I know that like it wasn't always easy, but I still can just reflect fondly on that place because I know that he was so near. So that's kind of a little gist of my sacred place or my sacred experience that I really wanted to share with you guys.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Grace.
Mhm.
So yeah, it sounds like it isn't, one moment, but it sounds like the whole place of just the day in and day out experiences of serving there, sometimes getting probably very little sleep, I imagine, and still, trying to be at your best when a new group of campers comes in, but having fellowship, community, with other people in such, it sounds like a really picturesque place.
Yeah, sounds beautiful.
Have you been
actually.
able to return since those 2 summers?
Yeah, so we went up last summer for a family vacation because they have cabins on the lake that they rent out. And so I'm actually leaving tomorrow to go up and spend the next week up there. So I'm really excited to just be back in that place and kind of disconnect and be with family. So.
Oh, how nice. What great timing that you're just about to
I
end
know.
it. So it sounds like you're anticipating, returning to this place that you see as being so formative in your life and holding these sacred experiences or just the place itself feeling set apart or feeling like it's sacred and special. So I love that. We're getting a picture of it. Tábatha was like, I want to go there too.
Yeah.
It sounds really nice.
Yeah.
Tábatha, I'm curious to hear what sort of place or experience you want to share in terms of, a sacred experience you've had. Just paint the full picture for us, just like Grace did.
Yeah, that's kind of funny because I also have this is really recent experience. I also said I can, and I had a really, really sacred experience, but that's not the one I'm gonna share.
Okay.
Cliffhanger. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, for me particularly, I'm gonna say, back in 2021, December of 2021, because I am from Venezuela, so I moved here to Texas, United States, the beginning of that year. So it was a rough year for me, all those months, the moving, missing family situation, homesickness and everything, and just trying to like find my path and how to like not fit in, but like find my way like in this new rhythm of life. Um, So I got here at the beginning of 2021, and I had like started going to church because I didn't grow up Christian. But the family that I moved in, they're Christian. So I was like, okay, yeah, I was like really open-minded about it. So I started going to church, and I had like all the way through really good conversations with people, and like I knew that people care about me. So it wasn't like I felt judged or unloved. It was the contrary. I felt really loved and welcome. So I was like, okay, this is good. And it was just like that for the year. And I even started serving at the church, and still, like when I look back and I like look my life before the sacred experience that I'm gonna share, I'm just like, oh, that like at that time I didn't know what it was like to really feel the presence of God or know the presence of God, or maybe acknowledge, because it's like me acknowledging the presence of God. So going back to December of 2021, I was actually in my room laying in bed, chilling, and I was reading a book that people had been like recommended to me. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna give it a try because I love reading and I think that's cool. So I was just reading this book, and all like every time that I read it, I felt something. I was like, this is good. Like I feel that I'm like learning. I feel like I'm understanding. And it's fiction. I'm gonna say the name. It's Redeeming Love by Friends in Rivers. I don't know if
Yeah.
someone has read it. Um, but I was reading that book, and I just felt so in love, compelled, like so into it. And by the time I finished it, and this is my sacred moment, I just felt and like I started crying, but it wasn't sadness. It was just more like relief of
Mm.
all the pressure that I had felt that year, and I just felt embraced by God. And I felt like He said to me, like, everything that you're going through, my son, so Jesus, He went through the same. He knows your pain, He knows about your happiness, so He knows everything. And that's the beauty that He was human, fully human, so He knows what you're going through, and I'm here for you. So in that moment, I just felt that was so sacred for me. It is so sacred still because I know that that was the time that I said, like, like this is the moment that I believe in Jesus, not because of what people have told me, but because I experienced it. So that's for me a one.
Oh, wow. I mean, 2021 was a rough year for many people because we were still in
Yeah.
like, big COVID days then. But when you pile on top that you're going through a major transition navigating that year from moving from Venezuela to the US, having to make new friends, make new connections, and all that you navigated is so impressive, even if it wasn't a pandemic. But when you pile on the
Yeah.
challenges, when people say 2021, we all kind of go, oh, where was I? What was life like then for me at that time? So that's already so significant that you were feeling probably still, even though you'd been in Texas for it sounds like, several months then, probably still feeling overwhelmed and just trying to get your bearings, I imagine. And so it's really cool that a piece of fiction can
Yeah.
be, just that stories are powerful, period. And you both have referenced scripture, you both have referenced the Bible in different answers today, but the fact that a piece of fiction, even if it's bringing to life, adding details, but bringing to life a story found in Christian scripture, I believe that's the case for Redeeming Love.
Yeah.
It's setting it in a different time and era, but making it more of a contemporary story than maybe the original biblical account, and adding, a lot of fiction details, but they're just that fiction, that stories can have that place of transformation. It sounds like that book is something you will always think back on, always remember.
Forever. Yeah.
Have you reread it? Have you?
Yes, I actually reread it December of 2022.
like 1 year later.
Yeah, and I'm probably gonna do it this year too, December of 2023.
Oh, that's gonna be
And
like
it's
your
not a short
summer
book. It's like
tradition.
500 pages.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's not,
long. So yeah, that's your own ritual. It might not be a
yeah,
daily
that
ritual, but
for
an
me was really
annual
special.
ritual.
So I think that's just
Wow.
also like at the end of the year for me, just like read it. It's just like, okay, so this is how I'm gonna start the next year.
Yeah,
That's so
that's true.
cool.
It's kind of like closing out the year as you begin
Uh-huh.
a new calendar year with finishing a book that's so influential, so significant for you. And that book was given to you as a gift, it sounds like.
Um, no, actually, that time I read it, I borrowed it from the library,
Oh, really?
the
Okay.
public library. Yes. Then I bought it. But the
Okay.
first time I read it, I borrowed it because people have been telling me it was good. But I was like,
Okay. It was
I
recommended.
don't know how to
People
feel
had
about
to, it was
that.
highly recommended to you, it sounds like, but you
Yeah,
still had to
but I'm
seek it
also
out.
super like I wouldn't say I'm picky. I'm just like when people say like they say like, "Oh, I love that book." I'm like, "Do you?" I double guess it. So I
Yeah,
borrow it first to see if
sure.
I really was gonna
Sure.
like it. And then I bought it, so I did like it.
I bet you've recommended it to many people since
Yes, now I'm the
after.
one who says, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna love this book."
Have you read it, Grace? I'm just curious.
I haven't read it, but it has been recommended. And I
Well,
believe they also just came out with a movie a year ago
Yeah,
or a
oh,
year and
the
a half
movie
ago
came
or
out in
so. So
2022.
if people are more into the movie side, I know that it's, I believe, rated R, maybe, just because it has some like more graphic depictions of it's about like prostitution kind of. But I think it's a very beautiful story of who God is and how he's coming to save and redeem and restore us and as his creation and his the bride of Christ, the church. So yeah.
well, yeah. Sounds like Tabitha, as people listen to this podcast, you might be getting more people who want to pick it up after hearing your story. So, or the movie, like Grace referenced. So,
Yeah.
I love both of those examples that you each shared. I'm wondering, because there's something about returning for both of you. Like Grace, she's anticipating returning to this camp in Wisconsin and all the memories held there and just the significant place it is for you to rest, reconnect. Tabitha, you say that you're reading this book annually now. It's become a new tradition for you. So it's both of the stories you brought to life. It's interesting that there's something you want to return to. So I'm curious, do you feel like sacred moments are, if you experience them more regularly, would your life be impacted in a particular way? Just because it's not that you're trying to replicate them, but there's still something of going back. So how does that impact your life is what I want to understand.
Yeah, I think that the sacred is all around us. And I feel like we kind of talked about this even at the very beginning of the ways that we see every single day of like taking time out of my day to like read scripture or listen to worship music. Like there's amazing ways that we can engage with the sacred every day or make moments sacred. Like I think that we have the ability to make moments sacred. And so I think when we have eyes to see how God is moving around us, that is an opportunity to say like, this was sacred, like seeing a prayer answered or just something simple like that can be a really cool opportunity to just experience faith and so I think that that's definitely it changes the way that you live each day because you're able to see that joy and that peace and the way that God's moving. So I would say so. It would definitely it has changed my life when I have the eyes to see it.
It sounds
Yeah.
like it for both of you.
I agree, like completely, like every single word she said, like Grace said. Because also I believe that right now we are like surrounded by so much information at the same time, like social media and news and people, and everybody has an opinion, that sometimes it's just hard to find a sacred experience because we are surrounded by so many things that we don't have a time just to be quiet and have a time with our thoughts and process our feelings and acknowledge what God has done that day for us in our lives. So I agree that we create those moments that we can do it and they change us, because just the idea of being saying like, oh, I'm grateful for water, I am grateful for sunscreen now that we are in 103-degree weather in Texas. So I think that those are moments that so easily we can turn into something that is so meaningful, because we are actually, like, as you said, like seeing with our eyes open. So we're looking for it. It's not like always passing by. We're like seeking it.
I feel like you both have, without yet reading the report, because it's releasing as we record this podcast episode. It's not yet released, but is releasing once the podcast is, out in the world. There's a definition we have in the report about developing a sacred sensibility. And I feel like that's what you both are describing, actually, without even hearing that idea spelled out in that way yet, that it's about like paying attention, noticing things, cultivating gratitude, but also, being mindful, being intentional about what you bring into your day, what you bring into each moment, whether that's, a certain posture or mindset, or whether that's an action or a practice that you both have alluded to in different ways. So it's very clear to me that the two of you are really desiring to have sacred encounters, sacred connections. As we wrap up, I'm wondering if there's just anything else you want to make sure you get into the conversation about what I should know, what our audience should know about sacred moments, or really, really about helping other young people experience the sacred.
I think, kind of going off of what Tábatha just shared, that there is a lot of noise, there's a lot of news, and a lot of just, I feel like, what can be negativity in the world. And so I think when we have that ability to see something sacred, or have a moment of an answered prayer, or just something to praise God for, I think that's worth sharing, coming from like Christian faith. And it's like, let's share the good news, like let's share. And it doesn't necessarily mean that like we have to be explicitly just sharing about Jesus, but also just sharing about the ways that, like for today, I was sharing with a friend that I didn't have breakfast and I was running from one thing to the next. And I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to like have a chance to like grab food today. And I walked into my guitar lesson, and my guitar teacher was like, hey, I made a smoothie. Like, do you want some of it? And I was like, that's so crazy. Like,
oh, wow.
I literally just told someone that I didn't know where I was going to get food. And like, here you are, like offering it to me.
Yeah.
And so just like having those moments to be able to share like something so simple with other people. And just, I think that that's a really powerful thing, that we have the opportunity to share answered prayers and sacred spaces and moments with others.
Wow. Yeah. It's having that perspective. It sounds like you both are so attuned to having that outlook in how you go about your days. Anything else you wanted to offer, Tábatha?
Not really. She killed it. Just that idea of the little miracles of life and seeing the beauty in everyday life, because this is what we have. This is a present, and we have to enjoy it and see how God is working it out and how He has blessed us, because we are awake and we are breathing and we get to live life. So yeah.
Thank you. I feel like anyone listening in on this episode is hopefully going to be able to take a pause to just take stock of their own life, their own surroundings, what's going on, what small or big moments that they want to pay more attention to. Thank you for sharing your stories. I think it's also important, besides you both just kind of helping folks of all ages be more attuned to the sacred moments in life. I think it's really important for trusted adults to hear these stories, to hear your examples, because, there's a lot of naysaying about Gen Z, about young people, and that they aren't concerned with a faith life or spirituality. And you both, it's so apparent how woven it is into just how you view the world, how you go about your days. So thank you for also, just changing people's opinions and perceptions as your authentic selves. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I know that anyone listening is going to get so much from this and the future episodes we still have to come. We have 6 episodes total. So 12 different voices of young people sharing their sacred experiences all throughout season 8 of the Voices of Young People podcast. So we'll catch you next time. Thanks. Visit springtideresearch.org to hear more voices of young people and to learn about the latest research and resources available, along with the State of Religion and Young People 2023, Exploring the Sacred. Springtide Research Institute is dedicated to listening to young people and sharing critical research and actionable insights from what we learn. Visit our website to find ways to support our work and discover ways that we can support yours. Be sure to follow us on social media at We Are Springtide and join the conversation by using the hashtag Exploring the Sacred. Today's show was produced by Marte Aboagye. The audio was mixed by Andy Palmer with original music created by student Christian Unthink. Special thanks to the 12 guests featured in season 8 and to all the young people whose perspectives and insights make our research possible. Thanks for listening.